Hello friends, good afternoon. How are y'all doing? I got a question. The question's like this. The question is like this. What is the purpose of learning topics in the Torah that are irrelevant? Question mark. I'll give you an example. Topics of purity and impurity do not apply to today's day and age. Topics of certain laws that only existed when the temple was around. When it comes to different types of offerings in the temple. Topics of how the courts used to work back in the day. Topics of how they would sanctify the new month without a calendar. How they would see the moon and the astrology, all that. When the moon renews itself for a new month. What is the purpose of discussing and studying and wrapping our brains around these topics today when they're not relevant? Question. All right? Think about it. So, welcome to our day-to-day. We are socially distanced, yet we're spiritually connected. And today we're continuing in our series, going along. We're the 10 areas that the Rebbe chose to put extra emphasis on. There's 10 specific campaigns the Rebbe put extra emphasis on. We're holding on campaign number 3. And that campaign is the campaign of study Torah, the idea of studying Torah, period. Not only Torah that we need to know day to day, that are going to give us a direction of how to live our life, but Torah, period. Things that do not apply. The idea of studying Torah, wrapping our brains around it. So what is the concept behind it? And before we go any further, we're going to go into a little history, a little story. What is this story? So the year was 68 CE. 68 CE. The Roman emperor ruled over the entire civilized society at the time. 68 CE. And this Roman emperor had enough with the Jewish people living in Israel. The temples were there, and they started making their way down to Jerusalem, down to Israel, and started squeezing in on Jerusalem. And it came a point where they surrounded the entire city and was under siege. And Jerusalem was a terrible time. The temple was standing, but there was a terrible split among the Jewish people. There were the sages and the high priests and the rabbis on one hand that wanted to try to figure it out, and they wanted to pray. They wanted to do something spiritual to fight off the Romans surrounding them. And there were a group of zealots. And the zealots at the time wanted to fight. They wanted to fight. They didn't want to go down without a fight. So there was a big tension at the time in Jerusalem among the Jewish leaders. And what the zealots did is they went and they burnt the storage houses of food, of grain. They destroyed all the food. And now what they left to do was that the Jewish people had no choice. They had to fight. There was no more surviving. Jerusalem was under siege. They were completely surrounded. There was a great leader at the time. His name was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and a tremendous leader of the Jewish people and a saintly man. And he snuck out of Jerusalem. And the general Vespasian was the one leading this charge against Jerusalem. And Vespasian was sitting there. He snuck out of Jerusalem and he made his way to Vespasian. And when he approached Vespasian, he greeted him with a greeting saying, "Peace unto you, Emperor." So Vespasian grew very stern, and he said, I should kill you for this greeting, for 2 reasons. The first reason why I should kill you is you called me emperor. I am not the emperor. I am only the general. If you call me emperor, you're offending my emperor, and therefore you deserve to die for that reason. And the second reason why you deserve to die, that if you are actually calling me emperor, if you're calling me the leader of the Roman Empire, why didn't you come to me earlier? Why only showing up now? So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, I'll tell you why. It says in our Talmud, it says in our sages, that the Bet HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, will be taken over by a very strong man, a king. And I see you're taking over the temple. So it has to be that you are a king. It has to be. That's why I called you emperor. Because I see what's happening. There's a siege. It's a matter of time until the temple falls. And And he said the reason why I didn't come earlier is because the zealots didn't allow us. The zealots locked down the city, and therefore I couldn't get out. So the general Vespasian heard this, and a couple of moments later, Vespasian's tent gets an urgent knock on the door, and somebody runs in from Rome. What does he run in from Rome? He says, General Vespasian, I have urgent message from Rome. The emperor just died. And the emperor put on you the mantle of leadership of the entire Roman Empire. And you have to leave right now, go back to Rome and take on leadership because the emperor suddenly died. And the Vespasian, the general, was amazed. He was shocked. And he turned to Rabbi Yochanan and he says, such a man with such vision and such belief and such connection to spirituality and to God, that you had this vision, grant me what I'm granting you whatever you want. Give me anything you want and I'll grant it to you. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, without skipping a beat, he had 3 requests. His first request was, Emperor Vespasian, Tenli Yavne v'chachamea. Give me the city of Yavne, which was a city of scholars that studied Torah the entire time. Give me that city and their sages, and do not harm them. And he had two other requests about saving 2 other individuals, which later led to other things. But the purpose of this conversation, this was the request that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was standing in front of the emperor of Rome, and he had a request for what? Give me a city of studying. Do not touch, do not mess with the study of Torah. And you got to ask yourself a question. Why was that at the pinnacle? Why was that so important? How come that was so important? He could have said, spare the temple. He could have said, leave the Jews alone. He could have said, leave the, take the siege away from Jerusalem. Why is it so important to say, give me study Torah? Why is studying Torah so important? And this is the force that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had. The force that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had was that the continuity of Jewish people, what is going to ensure that despite the changes, temple or not, exile or not, persecution or not, what is going to continue the Jewish tradition, what is it going to continue alive from generation to generation, is keeping the Torah studied, not for being forgotten. And we all have that responsibility. To continue Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's request, the only request he had to Vespasian the emperor was what? Keep studying Torah alive. It says, Umatenu einena uma ki'im b'torateha. Without the Torah, our nation is not a nation. So what this all comes to say is this is the 3rd mitzvah the Rebbe instituted. Studying of Torah. Now, we start off with a question. Why is it so important to study Torah that's not relevant today? These are not relevant laws. These are not relevant ideas. Why do I have to study them today? The answer is because like this. So there's 2 elements to studying Torah. There's the element of studying Torah, which is we got to live a Jewish life. How do you live a Jewish life? Study the Torah. How do you keep kosher? How do you put the tefillin? How do you do mezuzah? How do you do all these things? You got to do. You got to know what to do. So you have to acquire information. Okay? Then the second thing is the actual item, the actual ability of you learning. This is what the Alter Rebbe explains in the Tanya. The idea of you learning Torah, connecting your wisdom, our highest attribute that differentiates human beings from the rest of the world, from the rest of creations, is the fact that we have an intellect. We have a superior intellect. If we connect our most superior element and connect that with God's infinite wisdom, that is the highest form of connection to God. Studying Torah, connecting our highest intellectual, our highest element, our highest attribute, connecting it to God's wisdom. That is the highest way we can connect to God. So, let's tie it all together. How do we tie this all together? We tie this all together by saying like this. The Torah is God's wisdom, and therefore we study it, and therefore we have to put all time and effort into it, whatever we can. You go to Chabad.org. There's an item. There's a bar there that's called it's called daily study, and that's what we have to do. A little bit of Torah, a little bit of studying Torah, connecting our mind with God's wisdom. That is the highest way. That's the highest form of connection. So what was the single request Vespasian the emperor granted the Jewish people that continued Judaism till today? Was the request of being able to continue studying Torah. And that was his only request. So with that, I'm going to tie it all together. I want to wish everybody, take a little bit extra in studying. Take a little bit extra in Torah, where you feel, at whatever level you are, Torah is so vast. But this was one of the Rebbe's mitzvahs. One of the Rebbe's campaigns was what? To do this, to do the Torah, to connect ourselves with the Torah. And that concludes the message. Now I have a very special announcement, and the announcement's going to come at 5 p.m. today. Chabad of Loudon has an incredible announcement to make. We're going to announce it at 5 p.m. today. Stay tuned on Facebook. Stay tuned on Facebook at 5 p.m. today. We're going to have an incredible announcement. Stick around for it. It's an exciting things happening this weekend in Chabad. So stick around for this announcement happening at 5 p.m. today. And with that, I want to wish everybody a blessed day. I want to wish everybody a happy day. And if you know anybody in Loudon that needs help, anybody in Loudon County that has any areas of help, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever they need, you need to reach out, and we're going to help them ASAP. Yehudis, thank you for the reminder. I see in the text right now in the messages, we're having our Torah studies tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Everybody could join. You just have to go on and sign up. You can join. We're starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We're having a Torah study, virtual study, and wishing you all a blessed day, and we'll see you all tomorrow night. We'll see you all at 5 o'clock. We'll see you all at 5 o'clock today. All the best, and God bless you.